3, 2, 1, go!
Without further ado, let me talk about the ambition that I've had for a long time. To be perfectly honest with you, it's about buying my dream house. I want it to be a two-story house with my own library, game area, a garden and porch, plenty of rooms for my family, and a big kitchen where I can cook all I want. I can confidently say that I will move heaven and earth to get this done. So far, I've done plenty of things to carry out my dream, such as knowing every expense, understanding the value of properties, getting in touch with a realtor, and most especially working hard to earn and save more money. I know it would cost an arm and a leg, and I have to give blood, sweat, and tears to fulfill my goal. But it's what ambition is, isn't it? If all goes well and according to plan, I'd be able to live in my dream house in the next 10 years. I have got to be realistic with my time frame or else it won't work. Since this is all about money, I have to make the right plans and decisions. Plus, by the rate of my savings and investments, I think 10 years would be ample time to make my dream come true. I have this ambition because, like everybody else, I want to live comfortably in a safe and cozy place with my loved ones. I also noticed that people nowadays are satisfied renting rather than buying houses, and I told myself that it won't happen to me. At all costs, I need to purchase a place I can call my own, and I will go the extra mile to make it happen. This ambition drives and motivates me to put my best foot forward at work. One day in the future, this wish will become reality. I guess you could say that this is the ambition that I've had for a long time.
What kinds of ambitions do people have?
In most cases, there are various things related to this. Firstly, career ambition, as everyone wants to get promoted or become prosperous in their jobs. Secondly, to become rich, because people want to enjoy all the comforts and privileges of a wealthy life. And finally, to have a happy family, since it's the measurement of a successful life.
What kinds of ambitions do people have?
I'm utterly convinced that most people either dream of a rich life or a successful career, generally because these will give them happiness and comfort. Let's say some people will do anything to earn more money, even if it means they have to work many jobs. Others work round the clock just to get promoted and achieve something in their field.
What kinds of ambitions do people have?
In my opinion, people's ambitions have something to do with buying luxurious things such as bags, accessories, and even properties, as they feel superior and respected having these things. For instance, those people who are into fashion are obsessed with luxury brands like Hermes, Chanel, and Louis Vuitton, while others dream of living in a mansion or driving sports cars.
What kinds of ambitions do people have?
First of all, they dream about having tons of money because in that way, they can buy anything they can think of at any time of the day. Another thing is happiness, since everything is more and more complicated. Hence, some people just want to have a simple and truly happy life. And lastly, to have high social status, as they want to be respected and looked up to by others.
What kinds of ambitions do people have?
In general scenarios, people are crazy about traveling the world or live in many countries at a time. I think it has something to do with adventures, experiences, and people they meet along the way. To give you an idea, I have friends who've already been to dozens of countries. Regardless of this, they still have lots on their bucket list. What's more, they're even thinking about spending like at least 1 month in their travel destination on their next trip. And I find this very interesting.
What kinds of ambitions do people have?
Well, I'd say it's either fame or good looks because that's what people are fond of these days. What I'm trying to say is that, from what I've read, most children nowadays would rather become a YouTuber than a doctor or scientist because it's an easy way to fame. Additionally, in some countries, plastic surgery is accepted as a quick fix if you want to achieve a certain look, which makes it very popular among people.
What kinds of ambitions do people have?
In general, some people aspire to have their own business or become self-sufficient, for the reason that it's either they want to be independent or they just don't want anybody telling them what to do. Speaking of having a business, they set goals and work in a certain company to gain experiences they can use in their future enterprise. Talking about being self-sufficient, others move to the country and start their own farm or barn to produce their own food.
Why should parents encourage children to have ambitions?
The way I see it, this is mainly because it's parents' duty to do so. considering that having ambition is good for kids' mental health. To be specific, parents can give ambitions about a good life, career, or family. This will trigger their children to think positively and hopeful of the future.
Why should parents encourage children to have ambitions?
Is because it will motivate their kids to achieve something in life. Let's say parents can bring their children to work to see what they do, and it might drive their kids to follow them. Aside from that, they can encourage them to try anything they want and show that they always support them.
Why should parents encourage children to have ambitions?
In my perspective, the reason behind this is that it will enable children to work hard for the things they want. Come to think of it, nothing is easy in life and we must give blood, sweat, and tears if we want to achieve something. The best thing that parents can do is to build their kids' expectations that nothing is automatic and we all have to work to make things happen.
Why should parents encourage children to have ambitions?
In my belief, this is because it will inspire their kids to become successful in the future. What I mean is that parents can persuade their children to join a school club or after-school group, which will give them more chances to meet new people and discover things. In the future, their children will find it easier to achieve their ambitions owing to the diversity of experiences they've accumulated in their younger days.
Why should parents encourage children to have ambitions?
As far as I'm concerned, they should do it as it will build their kids' confidence and sense of responsibility. It is common knowledge that if children developed an ambition at a young age, they are likely to become more responsible and have high self-esteem. So, what parents can do is to send their children to a good school to educate and guide them properly.
Why should parents encourage children to have ambitions?
In my observation, parents must do it since it will make their kids believe in something. What I'm trying to say is that if a child believes he can be a doctor, artist, or anyone he wants, then he will hold on to it until he pulls it off. It's just nice to have an ambition. That's why parents should give them something to look forward to.
Why should parents encourage children to have ambitions?
I personally think this is because it will enable the kids to grow up to be a productive person. Let's say most successful people all over the world have had their ambitions since they were young. That being said, they were able to move forward and achieved their ambitions by giving their best shot.
Should parents interfere with children's ambitions?
Don't get me wrong, but I think they should. Generally because nowadays, children are more exposed to bad influences, especially online. Come to think of it, some kids just want to be YouTubers and forget about their school because their environment says it's the right thing. In this case, parents should interfere and put their kids back on the right track.
Should parents interfere with children's ambitions?
I'm of the opinion that parents should, not only because children are quite indecisive, but also they change their minds quickly. Say when their kids quit on something, parents should motivate them to continue and finish what they've started. Aside from that, parents are equipped with broader life experiences, hence, they can advise their kids every time they see them go the wrong way.
Should parents interfere with children's ambitions?
In my mind, I don't think so, as kids have the rights to whatever they want. All parents can do is guide and support. Think about this. If children are fond of something, their parents should back them up and listen to their interests. If ever kids are clueless about what they want to do, parents can guide them properly to make the right choice.
Should parents interfere with children's ambitions?
In my opinion, they shouldn't, given that parents must be the biggest supporters of their children. Say, if a kid wants to be a police officer, celebrity, or athlete, his parents should believe him. The moment kids feel like their parents are trying to control them, they are likely to react negatively or rebel.
Should parents interfere with children's ambitions?
I strongly believe that parents shouldn't interfere at all costs, for the fact that youngsters are entitled to their own dreams. Well, there are countless occasions that parents try to control their children, and the results are always unpleasant. On the other hand, if parents let them do whatever they want and guide them properly, children will grow up to be well-rounded.
Should parents interfere with children's ambitions?
For me, I don't think they should do that, mainly because controlling children will rob them of independence. If in case this happens, kids will be over-dependent on their parents even when making simple decisions. What's more, they will never be confident and motivated to achieve anything in life.
Should parents interfere with children's ambitions?
Well, I think parents must not interfere, considering that if they keep on doing it, their children will have an opposite reaction. Let's say some youngsters turn into juvenile delinquents or go down the wrong path because they don't want to follow their parents. They feel as if they are deprived of freedom whenever their parents manipulate them.
Is there any difference between children's ambitions and those of grown-ups?
In general, of course, there's a huge difference between them. We can say that children's ambitions are mostly about unrealistic things like having superpowers, flying, or living a fairy tale life, because that's how they see the world. On the other hand, grown-ups' ambitions are based on realistic goals and plans because they want to make things happen for real.
Is there any difference between children's ambitions and those of grown-ups?
In my opinion, I think there is. I mean, kids love to dream about simple things because they are still getting used to their surroundings and learning more about the true nature of life, while adults are likely to focus on material wealth and possessions because they find comfort in them.
Is there any difference between children's ambitions and those of grown-ups?
As far as I'm concerned, there's a major difference between their ambitions. As children tend to have pure ambitions detached from material things, since they see things differently and innocently. However, adults are motivated by personal interest and greed simply because they usually do things for personal gains and benefits.
Is there any difference between children's ambitions and those of grown-ups?
Yes, I strongly believe that their ambitions differ. On the one hand, children's ambitions are short-term, like buying their favorite toy, going to the amusement park, or anything they can get quickly. Speaking of grown-ups, they focus on long-term goals because they value the future, such as living in their dream house, buying a car, or traveling the world.
Is there any difference between children's ambitions and those of grown-ups?
Surely I'm convinced that there's a difference. Talking about kids' ambitions, they are mostly carefree thoughts, since they just want to enjoy their childhood. So you often hear them talking about princesses, superheroes, and imaginary stuff. With regards to grown-ups, their ambitions are careful consideration of their passions and goals, as they have set a certain standard to achieve, or else they won't be satisfied.
Is there any difference between children's ambitions and those of grown-ups?
The way I see it, I think there's a big difference. Children's ambitions are idealistic, and they have huge dreams that are sometimes almost impossible to achieve, such as becoming the president, an astronaut, or a famous person, while grown-ups are realistic, which means they could achieve their ambitions as they also set plans and methods to effectively reach their goals.
Is there any difference between children's ambitions and those of grown-ups?
In my perspective, I don't think there is. What I mean is that children and adults' ambitions are purely based on the hope that they would get something in the future. Say children want to receive their favorite toy for Christmas. Similarly, adults dream about receiving a good gift. However we look at it, kids and grown-ups' ambitions have sterling similarities.